Hey everyone, in the last video I mentioned that we were going to go ahead and create meeting rooms in this next one. And this is what my meeting rooms looked like before, just base dimensions, nothing really in the space. And this is what they look like right now. So very different room sizes and everything. Things have definitely changed a lot after realizing how many important components there are to a room. So to start, I decided to go ahead and create the more traditional classroom setting. So I knew I needed student desks, teacher desks, storage, trash cans, all those important elements. And the unfortunate part about Revit is that it doesn't have all those things. So what I recommend doing is using this website called Revit City, and you can go to revitcity.com, and it's a free website. It has a lot of very good assets that you can use for your projects. And what I'd recommend doing is creating an account. Then you can go to the download section and you could download a lot of .rfa files. So you'll know it's a .rfa if it says it, or a .rvt, and those are both acceptable in Revit. So I downloaded this desk over here, these trash cans, or this trash can, student desks, a projector, an oval desk for my oval or for my more professional meeting room, a projector screen, a laser jet printer, some storage through this cabinet, and some additional IKEA cabinets over here. So I got a lot of components, and for all these components, once you're on Revit City, if you just go to the download now button and click on that, it will automatically download it to your computer. Now what I recommend doing once you've done that is clicking on the arrow here and going to show in folder. When you do that, it's going to open up the file. So let me go ahead and click it there. So these are just files that I have created, or that I've downloaded in Revit, and I'm going to select the ones that are important to me and copy them. So you could just right click and copy them. And then after that, what I recommend doing is creating a folder somewhere on your computer. So I created mine on the desktop, and I just called it Revit City Files. And anything that I get off of Revit City, I'm going to put it in this folder. Not only is it going to make it easier for me to find things, but it's going to make Revit faster to open because it doesn't have to search your computer for all the files that you've used in the project. It's all accessible through one folder. So once you've put them in the folder like that, if you want to import them into Revit, all you need to do is go to the Architecture tab, go to Component, and then click the Load Family button. It's going to go ahead and pop up the default US Imperial family, but you're not going to find your stuff here. You're going to find them to where you save them to. So in my case, I save them to the desktop, so I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to navigate over to my Revit City files. So I could see them all over here. I can click on each individual one, or I could select them all and download them all at once. You only need to download them once into your project, because once you've opened it up in your project, they will always be accessible if you go to Architecture, Component, and over here. These are all the files that you've used in your project. It's important to note that if you cannot find the thing that you know you've downloaded, or if it's showing you something different on the screen, just use the search bar up here and type in the name of what it was you're using. So if I was using like the Stuva cabinets, I would type in STUVA, and there, boom, my Stuva storage system. So I could click on that, and then I could use it in my project again. So you only need to do that once. Okay, I'm going to press escape a few times. So what I did was I put my desks in place first. I realized right away that I was going to need a lot more space. So that's why I kind of expanded out the room. And I wanted to have enough space here so that if you're entering the room in a wheelchair, you'd be able to visibly move around. So there's about 4 feet over here as well as about 4 feet over here. So you will have accessibility to the room. For each desk, once I kind of put it in place, I aligned them. To show you the align feature, let me move this one up a bit. I can select on a desk, and I could use this button here, align, and I could hover to where the line shows up on the desk, and I could click on that, and then I could click on another one, and it will align the desks. So I know I've got them all to match up. After I did that, I selected 3 of the desks, and I just copied right, this button here, copied, and then I pasted them, 3 onwards. So I pasted them on, so I knew they were all leveled and they could all matched. Same with the storage over on this side over here. You might notice that it's all really nice next to each other. And I did that by just selecting the one I wanted, going to align, and then aligning with the next one over. So, like that. Okay, and then I pushed it up against the wall, so all my storage is nice and lined up, and it's not overlapping in any weird ways. Okay, I added the IKEA storage over here. I put the LaserJet printer on top of one of the desks, and each of these, they didn't really specify a height, so for the LaserJet, I just set it at 3 feet right now. I might adjust that later on, but 3 feet seems okay for now. Okay, teacher desk, additional trash can. This is a projector screen and a projector. Now, the ones I downloaded were only visible in the ceiling view. And right now I'm on the floor plans. So on floor plans, you can only see the ground floor. If you wanted to add these elements, you're going to have to create a ceiling for that room. So I'm going to go over to the ceiling plans of the ground floor, double click on that. And this is my ceiling plan. Now, originally there wasn't a ceiling on here. I had to add that. To add in a ceiling, the fastest way to do so is to go to the Architecture tab, go over to the Ceiling Systems, and then use Automatic Ceiling. And if you hover over a room, you'll notice that it will allow you to generate a ceiling. Currently, the height offset's at 8 feet, and we might adjust that, but for now, that's okay. So I'm going to click on an area, and it will generate a ceiling. Once you have a ceiling, you'll be able to add the components to the ceiling view. So you'll go to Architecture, you'll go to Component, and then you will either select it from here or load family if it hasn't been loaded in already. Whoops, I dropped one in. Okay, now I do want to point out one more thing. The elements that are visible on the ceiling view, they won't be visible on the ground floor view when you go back to them. And you might be confused because I can clearly see them over here. If you want to see these elements on the ground floor view, what you need to do is on your ceiling view, you got to double click on the element. So I'm going to double click on this projection screen. You need to select one of your elevations once you're on this view. So let's say I go to my front view. And then you need to go to model line. You got to switch the subcategory over to hidden lines. And if you don't have hidden lines, you'll have to create it. So there should be some kind of option to create it. And then you need to draw it from some element of the thing you're trying to do. So I usually look for like a midpoint or something. And you got to draw down the line past the reference level. The reference level is the ground floor essentially. So if it's at 8 feet, and it'll go past the ground. And if you draw a hidden line there, it will be like invisible. So it'll be visible to you, but like it will show this element on the ground floor because it technically goes to the ground floor, even though it's not on the ground floor. So get it set up the way you want, load it into your project. Something will pop up to say overwrite the existing version. And then when you check your ground floor, it usually works. If it doesn't, try a few different lines, mess around with it, but you can get it to work. Now the other thing is sometimes the elements you place in like this might not be facing the right way. If you press the space key, you can adjust how they're showing up. If that doesn't work, you can also use the rotate tool over here. Click on that, and you'll be able to select a base reference for the rotation, and then you could adjust it to where you want it to be facing. So you could get a different angle view with that rotation tool. Okay, so I'm going to put that back. So that's my room. I also was very aware of where my columns were, so those wouldn't interfere. That's the classroom. And then for the Oval Office, very similar. I used storage, got plenty of storage in there, multiple trash cans. I tried to center the projector as best I could, as well as the projector screen. At first, I thought it would be great over here, but then, if you're sitting on this chair over here, you're pretty far from it. I also want to make sure there was about 4 feet of space, regardless of which way you took. So there's plenty of space, making this room very accessible. And with the storage and door and everything, it's a very nice meeting room as well. Okay, so those are two different types of meeting rooms, all set up and everything. My biggest concern now is now the history room might not have enough space, so I might need to go ahead and rethink how that history room is going to be set up. Anyway, in the next video, we're going to be designing the children's library section, so I'll talk about it then some more, and I will see you then. Peace.